So, you like Boye, huh?
Dude, I absolutely did. One of the things that I do early on Monday mornings is I'll go through and I'll just go through the sortable statistics and I'll see, okay, these are the guys that had kind of the most pressures during the week, and I'll go watch all those players because I'm curious not only to see how they're individually playing, but what teams are doing to free some of these guys up. So he showed up near the top of that list. So that was one of the first things I watched, was just a cut up of his pressures. Then I go back and get a chance to go through the whole game and watch the whole game in the all 22, and it's like, I don't know where you stop the list of impressive players for the Seahawks on defense. I mean, Leonard Williams was awesome. Obviously, the coverage in the back end. They have 2 picks. They dropped 2 more. I mean, they could easily had 4 interceptions in that game. You look at what they do at the line of scrimmage all the way across the board. They did a nice job of generating pressure. Draymond Jones got some push. They were impressive with what they did. The secondary, Love was all over the field. We talked about it last week, but Witherspoon in this defense, being able to insert him not only as a blitzer, but someone who can, fit the run as well as what he does there. I mean, you look at the rookie, you go to the first round rookie on the defensive line, Byron Murphy, and it's like that same funky little go to a knee technique that he uses against the run and anchors down. That's like one of the more unique things I've ever seen. He's doing the same thing to NFL players. So I came out looking at the whole tape, and I was like, okay, this defense is really, really fun. And then finally, so you get the cut-ups, then you get the full game, and then you're like, okay, well, make sure my eyes aren't lying to me. Let me look at all the numbers, like all the statistics for the week. And it matched. They were second in pressures. They were third in QB hits. That being said, they dropped 2 picks. They had 7 missed tackles, so there's still room for them to even get better. And the other thing, Brock, I'll get you on this one, was I like to see kind of what the coverage tendencies were. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not really in the top in any coverage. Like, they mix their coverages up throughout the entire game.
Did think it was the best their defense has been in years. And
innovative,
I don't
creative,
want to put like a specific date on
fast, right?
They had some fits and starts in a couple games over the last few years where, the pressure was good or something like that. But I can't remember a game where each level of their defense was as good as this since the LOB years.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, and I'm sitting here going, okay, where are you going at these guys? Like, how are you attacking them? What's going to be the plan? And they creased them on one run inside, and that was kind of it. I mean, so I'm like, okay, maybe they see a team with an elite offensive line. Maybe they can try and get them a little bit in the run game, but that's nitpicking, because there literally are legit players at all levels, and they're all fast, man. They all can run.
Let me play you this, because I came up with a theory yesterday. I want your take on it. I gave it to Brock, but here's my theory. That as great as it was, and I'm sure there's ways in which they're going to face better offenses. They're not going to look as good as that every other week, of course. But is it possible that they were in some ways operating with a hand tied behind their back? One thing we know about Mike Macdonald is that he really wants to fit his scheme to that week's offense, right? He wants his defense to be specifically built to take on that offense, and he didn't know what to look at in this game. He had never seen Bo Nix other than at Oregon. There was no Bo Nix and Sean Payton together. He even talked about it after the game with us.
Oh, it's tricky, Brock, because I mean, what tape are you going to watch? You have Bo in college with probably just kind of feeling what type of player he is. You got the preseason tape, and then you have Denver last year, and then you start to you got a ton of time on your hands, and then you started going back to last time Sean Cobb played in New Orleans. Then they had played us, or we played New Orleans against Pete Carmichael in 22.
So was he actually at a disadvantage, and he'll be better going against the Dolphins in week 3 or other teams with a little bit more of a history?
I think it is. It's a lot easier when you have 3-4 games worth of offense to look at and play the tendency game and really kind of find preferences. So I think that's fair. I mean, I'm coming at this from where innovation is taking place in the sport, and I look on the defensive side of the ball, and I think it's very plainly obvious. If you watched Michigan over the last few years, you watched the Ravens over the last few years, this has kind of been the scheme du jour. I saw it with Jesse Minter. I mean, you want to talk about making a difference. Look at the last time the Chargers and the Raiders played, where the Raiders hang 63 on them. Jesse Minter and Jim Harbaugh come in with the Chargers. They change up everything. The personnel's not that different defensively. And it was light years better with what they did there. So I think they're in the most innovative scheme and the scheme that everybody's kind of chasing right now. And then they have the players to boot. So yeah, I mean, once they get a catalog of tendencies with offenses, I think you could see that even get better.
Wow. Daniel Jeremiah with us, paying off the shower and shave this morning, wearing the Padres hat. It's great to see him on camera. So we had a contestant a couple weeks ago, DJ. We don't do a lot of game shows. We used to do quite a bit of them when we were starting, but got some Madden copies, been able to give away, and we had a contestant. His name was Lousy Larry, and we didn't name him Lousy. He characterized himself that way, as did his family.
Self-glossed.
His horrific performance. But Lousy Larry's over there in Hanford working at the plant. Great guy, just a terrible contestant. For Lousy Larry, for Hawk Blogger, for different folks that may listen to this show, and they hear you say that about the scheme, this innovative scheme, this scheme that's taken over the league, the scheme that other people are stealing from, how would you define it? How would you characterize it? So when they're at the water cooler and Lousy Larry's like, oh, man, don't you love this Palms defense the Seahawks are playing? I mean, just something cool that he could say, around his employees. How do you define it and characterize it?
Well, I think it's probably like anything that's successful, offensively or defensively, is that it's something that at its core is very, very simple, but on the exterior looks very, very complex. So they're just going to present a lot of bodies in a lot of different locations pre-snap, and then there's going to be a mystery of who's coming, who's dropping, what roles are assigned, and then they're going to match their coverages on the back end with what you're doing. So it's kind of I don't know if that's a clean and concise way to approach it, but what it does is it really does allow your players that can run to play extremely fast, and it speeds up the quarterback. And I think if you watch not only with Bo Nix, I saw it with Gardner Minshew, who's not a great quarterback, but at least he's a veteran. I saw him get sped up as well. And if you watch the Ravens, you watch Michigan previously, they have a way of speeding up quarterbacks because of the uncertainty they create at the snap.
So this is not necessarily Tampa 2. This is not necessarily the Bears 46. This is not the Seahawks Legion of Boom with a post safety and cover 3 and man. Mm-hmm. What I hear you saying is this is really the illusion of complexity. Is that
100%.
fair?
Yeah, I would put that. That would be on the media guide. I don't even know if they do media guides anymore. But if that would be it, I would put a picture of the defense, and I would put illusion of complexity. I think you nailed it.
So do they use a little bit of all of those things?
Yeah, no, that's what they do. I mean, like I said, I go through it.
We'll see some 46.
I'll look through, and I can do it. I can actually pull it pretty quick here because I'll pull it up for you right now. Here,
wow, you're like just passing. We have passing on Tuesdays.
So is this pass and go to the numbers?
Oh, he's phenomenal, and like he does it while talking.
He makes it up, but yeah.
Does okay? Well, that's
he doesn't
fair.
make it up. He goes
kidding.
to Baseball Savant like that.
Yes,
he's got all these hot tabs on his phone and his computer, and he gets right to it.
Yeah, so they're 17% in cover 1, they're 10% in cover 2, they're 21% in quarters, they're 14.5% in cover 6, which is a quarter half. So I mean, like there's nothing that, like, what do you look at that and say, okay, let's call our man beaters. Let's put our, we want to attack this too high split safety look. Like, well, they're constantly changing. So you can't really get a beat on what they're doing defensively.
The last thing in the defense, and at some point we'll probably try to talk about the offense because it's a different conversation, I guess. Watching their linebackers, and specifically Dodson, but Baker to a lesser extent as well.
Yeah.
Watching those guys run around and their effect on the passing game. Is that scheme, or is some of that linebackers that can run and just sort of a different breed than what we've seen here?
Yeah, I mean, I always talk about in the draft with linebackers, and it's been this way for a while now, but the old school days of, like, we would be in draft meetings and we're dinging guys for take on, and this guy can't thud off blocks. It literally I just simplified it to the point of 3 things. You have to be able to run, you have to be able to cover, and ideally you have to be able to blitz. And those linebackers, look at Baker's pass rush production throughout his career. He's an outstanding blitzer. So if it's a passing league and you view it through that prism, you better go out and get guys that can run, cover, and blitz. And they've got guys at the second level that can really do that. So sometimes I think it's like, oh, okay, we got to be able to really cover it. Well, you know what? If with these defenses nowadays too, it'd be nice if you had a clue of how to time up your blitzes and be able to get home and finish in that regard as well. So I think they've done a nice job of building out that group with guys that fit all 3 of those.
Grade Geno.
I thought he got hit a lot early. I thought the offensive line, which was one of the, probably the major question marks coming in, I thought that was something that showed up early and concerning. They tried to push the ball early. I thought they made an adjustment, and you started seeing some of those smoke screens and just get the ball out of your hand. And I think the big run kind of settled him in a little bit. But that was a good secondary that they played against. There was not a ton of room, but they have to be better up front. And that's a tough spot for George Fant. It's not. He's really a swing tackle at this point in his career. So that was a little bit of a
DJ.
a
They
tough
feel,
assignment there.
and I said this to Salk the other day. Like back in the day when we watched Pete kind of build the defense, they had some D line with Red Bryant and guys that could really stuff the run, but they couldn't rush the passer. And then they had to put the little guys on, and then teams would run at them. This feels like a Bradford and a Lakin and Connor can move people. And you saw that in the run game throughout. They can move people. But how do they balance that out? Because the pass protection phase of it is very problematic.
Yeah, it's a concern. But you're right. I mean, and you look at it, and Tomlinson had some nice finishes. And you watched him. I watched a lot of the Jets over, during his time there after coming over from the Niners. He did not play well. And he is two different players. In the run game, he can turn and torque guys and move guys. In pass protection, it was a little bit of a liability. And they've got a few guys like that, that are equipped that way. Now, the good thing is the running back runs like somebody stole something from him. I mean, he is so fun to watch how angry he runs. And then you've got an offensive line that can move people. So now is the evolution of the offense, and how are they going to see and know what they have now? Let's make the adjustment. Yeah. But trying to go deep play action and take some vertical shots. There's going to be more horizontal stretch, I think, in this offense as we go along, because they're going to have to just cover up what they have. You know who else played good though? Pharaoh Brown blocked his butt off.
Oh, he was out. It wasn't
not Pharaoh Brown.
No, it wasn't.
Warner. Who?
Yeah.
It was 88. Who was 88?
AJ Barner. Yeah, AJ Barner. It's very confusing, DJ. It's biblical.
Yeah, I'm like,
because
whoever
we got a
88
Pharaoh
is
and
was
a
freaking
Noah
blocking his butt off.
Yeah,
yeah. That was impressive. So I was looking at that because Fant's competitive as a blocker. He's competitive, but the 88 was finishing. AJ. I was like, good night.